Ever heard of pine tar? Yeah, that's what this is, and I'm going to use it to make soap. So it's a black or dark green tar-like substance that's made from burning pine. Turns out it's been used to treat common skin conditions for thousands of years, so it should be good for soap. There are a couple companies making it, the Grandpa Soap Company, Dr. Squatch, and Soapworks. I wanted to check the ingredients of each. So looking at Grandpa, it's a pretty decent amount of pine tar, I think. The glycerin content for cold processed soap should be somewhere around 6%, and pine tar is listed after glycerin, so I'm guessing maybe around 5% pine tar. Moving on to Dr. Squatch. If you're looking at the ingredients, you got pine tar, it's below fragrance, and safe fragrance usage is typically max between 3 and 6%. So after fragrance, they still have shea butter, limonene, oatmeal, and then pine tar. So I'm guessing maybe 1 to 2% pine tar in Squatch. And last is Soapworks. This one's a bit misleading, kind of disappointing. There's actually no pine tar in here at all, just pine essential oil. So like I said, it's kind of misleading. I wouldn't call it pine tar soap. You could call it pine soap, but there's definitely no pine tar in it. Anyway, this is how I make mine. I'm going to be using coconut oil, my tried, tested, and true. Little sunflower oil, Rooster brand. I think I got a 50% off at Zehrs. Love those 50% off sales. Some shea butter. I love using shea butter in soap. I got to start doing more of that. And then, of course, the pine tar. Now, it's in this interesting metal container. The place to get this is actually I get it from a place called Princess Auto. So like maybe animal barn stores, that kind of thing. It's used to treat, I think, cuts in sheep or cuts in animals. You could get it on Amazon and whatnot, but it's going to be way more expensive. And then, of course, I'm going to use my trusty castor oil. Finally, almost out of this bad boy. First thing I'm going to do is weigh out my oils. And what I started doing, well, I guess just for this coconut oil, is microwaving it first, instead of scooping it out, because honestly, my least favorite part of making soap is scooping out the coconut oil. I friggin' hate it. So obviously I didn't have enough, and here I go scooping it out. Costco is still the place to get coconut oil if you're not buying crazy bulk. I like getting it from there. It's organic, and the price per kilo works out pretty decent. All right, scooping out my cocoa. What do we got here for weights? Looks like I'm trying to hit 300 grams, so I'm going to do a 30% coconut oil. And I remember why I did that, so maybe I don't remember why I did that. Apparently pine tar makes soap trace really quick. So maybe I was going to use more liquid oils. When I do the audio for these videos, it's way after I did it, so it's a lot of memory. 350 grams of sunflower oil, so that brings us up to what, 55% of our batch? Now I'm going to put in some shea butter, but the problem is I ran out of shea butter after 100 grams or so. So the other butter I had, I think it's cocoa butter, and the consistency is a little different, but I figure they're probably close enough. Honestly, I'm not super picky with my recipes, so I don't think I even adjusted for this. I just put it in as shea butter in my calculator. So what were we at? 550 grams plus 200 is 650. Pine tar goes in at 10%. Yeah, basically when you put pine tar in your soap, you want to make a recipe. Let's say it's 1,000 grams. And you just substitute, if you go 10% like I'm doing, you substitute 100 grams out of your 1,000 for pine tar. Substitute the oil, I mean. So you're only going to use 900 grams of oil, 100 grams of pine tar. I actually have a cold right now. I don't know if it comes across, but a little bit of a struggle over here. Okay, this stuff's weird. It's really, tar is the best way to describe it. Super thick, dark, black, tar-like substance. Has a weird kind of burnt pine smell, but it's one of those smells where, at least for me, the more I smell it, the more I like it. So this was the first time I cracked it open and sniffed it. Now, what did I do with my recipe? Did I miss something in there? Maybe I missed the castor part of it. I could post the recipe down below if anybody really cares about it. But the real trick, like I said, is to sub 10% for pine tar. So what you want to do is add this to your oils. I've read about adding it in different parts of the recipe. Maybe I have. I'm not sure. What works for me is to add it to my oils. So I put all my other oils in first, and then I add the pine tar in. Like I said, 10%, none of that 5% or less. We're going for the real deal. If I want pine tar in my soap, I'm going to have it in at least 10%. I've heard of people using 20, but honestly, I think that's probably overkill. Because even at 10%, the fragrance is strong enough. I don't think you need any other oils, essential oils that is, or fragrance. Okay, so I'm getting it all stirred in here, and you can see how it starts turning dark right away. It ends up being a dark, more like a dark green color. It looks black in the can, but it's really green. It comes from pine. And, you know, my buddy, I gave him a bar of the soap, and he told me that pine has, it boosts your testosterone, maybe? Oh, don't do that. Don't drop your spoon in like me. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it's great. It's just fantastic in soap. I feel like this stuff's made for soap. All right, I got my lye water ready to go. I'm dumping it in. I'm going to hit it with that stick blender. And I was kind of scared because it's supposed to trace so quickly, but I didn't really have that issue. So I think I let my lye water cool quite a bit instead of using hot lye water just to avoid a quick trace. A little bit of stick blender, and then I did the rest by hand. I got a little too into it with the spatula and scraping it off the sides. I started for quite a while. Like I said, I was expecting it to trace very quickly. So I was kind of, you know, I had everything ready. I got my mold back there to pour it right into. And I figured I'm going to go old school and kind of mix by hand. You know, now it kind of looks like an uncooked chocolate cake. Pretty appetizing. Doesn't smell like it though. So I stirred this for an unnecessarily long period of time. More therapeutic than anything. Therapeutic for me. I don't know if it's therapeutic for you. All right, and there's my mold. And I just poured it in. I didn't think it would do anything to add any colors to it or any fragrances. I just wanted to raw dog it. Good old 10% pine tar. A really good high quality soap is what I'm looking for here. So I got pretty stingy with getting all the oils out with the spatula. I don't want to waste anything, but more importantly, I scrape all the oils out so that it's easier to clean. Because, what did I say? The worst part of soaping was scooping coconut oil. I take it back. It's washing everything after. All right, so next day, I think it was probably the next day. That's when I usually unmold and cut. So this unmolded like a champ. Still soft enough to cut. You could see the edges kind of get pushed in. I probably could have let it sit for another 6 or 8 hours. But I'm not patient for soap and I want to cut it right away. So you can see cut through nice and smooth. This is how I like to cut my soap. I don't want to press too hard, but I want a little bit of resistance so it's not going to get all mushed and fall apart. I don't know if you call these nice looking bars. I think they turn out pretty nice. And that's what it looks like. It's, like I said, a rustic, natural, call it manly or womanly. Any purist's soap, people will love this. I love it. And here's the trial of it. This is probably a week or 2 after. So again, the bars hardened up really nicely. No issues with this at all. Once you get them wet, they smooth out. But look at the suds on this. Look at the bubbles. So just barely touching it, getting big, nice bubbles. One of my favorite soaps. It smells awesome. It feels good in the shower. A real natural, clean feeling. You got the infusion of pine tar, which is supposed to be great for your skin. Would I use it on my face? Probably not. But a nice, thick, creamy, foamy lather. Great for the shower. Like I said, one of my favorites. Going to be making it again. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment below. See you later.